Most murders we detect within a couple of weeks. Investigating organised crime is a different world. A proactive investigation into an organised crime group can take years, and it is inherently more dangerous as a cop.
Greater Manchester, a region in the grip of a powerful and ruthless enemy.
Moss Side, Salford, Rochdale. Manchester has always had a gang problem, and it's getting worse.
Rapidly evolving and increasingly beyond the reach of the law, organised crime groups are now operating on an unprecedented scale.
Gangs like businesses. They are well organised, sophisticated.
Did you play a major part in facilitating this murder?
To lead the fight against the gangs, teams led by specialist detectives have been formed.
There's 7 of us on a team. These gangs, you're talking 20, 30 gang members.
The victim was tortured with a blowtorch to his ears, iron to his knees, and injected with heroin.
For the first time, a number of these officers have agreed to be filmed.
We've got the supply of over 400 kilos of heroin.
Wherever you have drugs, you have violence.
Tracking major operations over the course of 2 years, this is the story of the organised crime detectives tasked with taking down Greater Manchester's most sophisticated and notorious gangs.
Coming for yous.
You've got to have a certain steel about you. You can't take a backward step.
To properly dismantle an organised crime group, you've got to sever the snake's head.
There'll be a lot of crimes in Manchester that are going on unreported in the criminal underworld. Shootings, stabbings, kidnaps. It happens in darkness, in the hours of darkness. Away from witnesses and street lights and CCTV cameras. And so, we are always playing catch-up.
Police emergency. Hello?
I need a police head, Hello?
Hello, it's police here. What's going on there, please?
No, it's an estate, sorry.
Hello?
There's blood on the floor.
In central Manchester, a man has been kidnapped at gunpoint in front of his family. Police suspect it's the work of an organised crime group, or OCG.
Smash the back patio door, glass everywhere.
Gang specialist Detective Sergeant Julie Connor is watching body cam footage recorded by officers who arrived at the victim's house shortly after he was taken.
I don't know, they took him. They're not, listen to me, darling. Listen, they're not going to kill Daddy.
We've got people traffickers, drug traffickers, people who commit wide-scale fraud. There's all sorts of types of gangs. I think we've got them all in Manchester. There's a lot of kidnaps that happen. It has got worse. And the violence used by these gangs has escalated.
They got him here in front of the kids, beat him up, and they went, we're going to show our head if you don't fucking listen.
Gangs make more of an impact if they go in and just terrify the person in their own home. So whatever's being demanded, they'll pay.
Right, so 4 men forced their way in through the back patio doors, and initially there was a scuffle inside the house.
The case has been passed to Julie's team, overseen by DCI Alan Clitheroe.
Any questions so far? Because of the level of violence used by the 4 offenders, the victim said, I will take you somewhere to get some of the money.
The victim of the kidnap was tortured for almost a day and then released after a ransom was paid.
He has described being put into a VW Tiguan. He had his ears blowtorched and he had his knees ironed. There's a lot of intelligence about him dealing drugs on an importation level.
Police suspect the victim is a wealthy drug dealer. He is not currently cooperating with the investigation.
With the rise in drugs, there's a lot of money floating around in the criminal world. So there's an increase in criminals robbing other criminals. But if there's a gang that's prepared to target a victim who's possibly quite connected themselves, they're taking a huge risk. So they're either very, very dangerous or they're very reckless.
£34,000 was dropped in a bag on Langport Avenue in Withington. At that point, 2 black males in dark clothing pick up that money and make their way towards a Mercedes motor vehicle.
After briefly losing the Mercedes in a pursuit, police intercepted the car. Inside there was no money and only 1 man.
Julie, do you want to just talk through when he was in custody, how that went and what happened?
Paris Bostock, known violent offender, linked to organised crime, built like he could kill you with his bare hands. He was threatening everybody, threatening all the staff that dealt with him. So I interviewed him in the cell. Just pulled the blanket over his head and ignored me, laughed at me. And so without further evidence, we had to bail him. So I put in an information log saying that he'd been arrested. Let's see if anyone else has got any information that might assist.
Although police did not have enough evidence to charge Paris Bostock, they suspect that he was involved in the kidnap and fear the gang may be planning more attacks across the city.
The worrying thing is, the kidnappers have said to the victim that they have a list of people that they are working through, that they are going to tax over the following few weeks.
So we've got a group of kidnappers who have identified potentially cash-rich criminals. Victim number 1, they got money, so why not move on to the second person and then the third person? But we have no way of knowing who is on that list.
If there is a list of people, of targets, that's a real worry for us. Who might be next? Where's it going to stop? We could end up with a murder easily.
Based at Nexus House, the major incident team is comprised of 150 detectives, divided into 10 units, dealing with the city's most serious crimes. John Chadwick is head of serious and organised crime.
Organised crime, it is the biggest threat to the UK in terms of security. Organised criminality is about money. There is a lot of money in drugs, and with those huge sums of money comes a lot of threat.
The main focus of the unit is now urgently identifying all of the men responsible for the kidnap and determining whether chief suspect Paris Bostock was one of them.
Diaz Connor. Did you say Mike 639 for the Mercedes?
After putting out a force-wide alert, Julie receives a call from a covert officer who saw the Mercedes Bostock was arrested in outside a suspected crack house on the day of the kidnap.
Bloody brilliant.
The officer sends Julie surveillance footage of several men leaving the property.
Paris Bostock. When he first comes out, his cap's not pulled right down and you can see all that hair that he's got. His build. I'd know him anywhere. This could be the torture location. It's definitely of interest somewhere that potentially the kidnappers have been during the day of the 22nd.
There's too much coincidence, really, without descriptions in the car, and certainly there's some link, isn't there? We need to get a warrant for that address.
With a warrant issued, police head to the address where they suspect the victim was tortured.
There's a bag of white powder on the table.
Crack pipes.
The only person police find at the suspected crack house is a female drug user.
At the moment, you're going to be arrested on suspicion of possession of a Class A drug.
Go back to the 21st and 22nd of November. Do you know anything about that?
There was loads of people here,
Yeah.
up and downstairs.
Do you know any of those people that came?
Didn't ask.
With the help of a forensic unit, officers begin to search the property for evidence of kidnap and torture.
We think he's been restrained at some point, so if we're looking at tape or something like that. We're looking for an iron and a blowtorch.
This bin here is like brown tape, as if it's either been across a mouth or arm. You can actually see all the hairs on this.
I wonder if that's been cut, you know.
Yeah.
That joins that, yeah, it does.
A restraint for wrists.
Wrist, leg.
A really good potential for DNA from that.
So, nothing.
You could certainly put that on someone's knees, couldn't you?
Yeah.
The items found at the house are sent for forensic analysis to determine whether they contain DNA from either the victim or the kidnappers. with his links to the suspect address. Paris Bostock is circulated as wanted across Greater Manchester.
Started off in 2009 when he was 16, robbery.
Julie searches his criminal records for links to known associates.
Approached the victims with a kitchen knife and a baseball bat. 17 battery, intimidating a witness, juror. He's quite a violent man. He was 18 there. Looking quite different to what he does now. Paris is the stepson of Darren Barclay. Darren's in his 40s. Well-known drug-dealing, violent family from the South Divisions. There is a lot of information on police systems about Darren Barclay. He's known for violence. The local community are terrified of him. He's an older man who's had a lot of influence on younger lads in the area. The gangs in Manchester, they still have their roots from the gangs that were around in the 80s and 90s. In Moss Side, Salford, Fallowfield and Cheetah Mill, when Manchester was known as Gunchester. So it's the children and the grandchildren of those gang members that we're now finding that are in gangs.
Police emergency.
I just left my house there because I heard loads and loads of screaming outside, and I went out and I went round the corner and I could see through to the other street, and there was a group of men trailing another man out of a house.
What street is that?
It's a main road.
Police emergency.
I think there's a kidnapping going on, and there's somebody screaming. Like they're getting thrown in a boot.
Right, what road is this?
Big main road.
4 weeks after the first kidnap, police receive reports of a second attack. Three hours later, officers find the victim in a street, bound and badly beaten.
Where am I? Salford. Do you if you've been stabbed or out like that? You don't know? Can this come over the top of your neck, mate, or... We can cut it off if not, mate. Come here. It's all right.
He's been cable-tied, hands and legs, hog-tied.
Yeah, I've got some here. Seatbelt too. Can I look at your face? What is it?
Look at that.
It's bad, mate. Bad, yeah. You've got quite a nasty gash on your nose, mate. It's okay.
The swelling with his eyes like that often indicates a potential underlying brain injury.
Is it your foot what's leaking blood? Lift your foot up a minute. What have you done to your feet? Do you know? They've what? They've hammered your feet?
We're seeing an increase in violence by these criminal gangs. People being shot in the legs, stabbed, their faces cut. If a girl disrespects a criminal male, their head shaved, rapes used as a punishment. I've dealt with all those things.
We're on Dalton Avenue.
In the street with him was a grey VW Tiguan.
Okay, we're going into the vehicle. We have a large amount of blood that is on the seat.
Julie and the team suspect the same gang of kidnappers targeted the victim due to his drug dealing connections.
He's known to the police, previous convictions in relation to high-value importation of drugs.
They put a hood overhead. Then took me to an address. There's sort of an empty room with a chair in it. Like where they got bars, and they would beat my feet, asking me for money. They'd beat me for 2-3 minutes, stop for 2-3 minutes, throw water on me. I think at one point I'm putting a gun on my head.
They've been really savage because they've not really given him very many options to do anything about their demands.
This went on for about 2 hours, asking me, where's this money? I want 200 grand. And then it was down to 100 and down to 50.
It was just chaotic, I think. It's like they lost the plot at some point and decided to just batter him.
Despite similarities between the two kidnaps, detectives don't yet have the evidence to prove they were carried out by the same gang.
What happens in a gang situation? The adrenaline going, testosterone going. The gangs are prepared to use extreme violence to follow through with the plan. And it just quickly goes out of control.
Along with the Tiguan, a blood-stained VW Golf is also discovered, abandoned near to where the victim was found. And GPS data is extracted from the onboard computers of both cars.
Are you sure that there's 3? You know what? I think there might be 4.
Examining the Tiguan, officers make a further discovery.
It's probably the worst car I've seen in terms of blood patterning. It's absolutely sodden with blood.
Right.
But not only that, it's on false plates. There's 3 plates attached to the back of it.
If you can text me the details of the regs, I'll do some ANPR stuff on it.
That's that car. On the 21st of November.
About 40 minutes before the kidnapping.
A number plate recognition database search reveals the Tiguan, using one of the 4 false plates, was recorded at the location of the first kidnap.
The Tiguan's been used in both jobs, so it's the same team.
The unit is now confident the 2 kidnaps are linked. And significantly, they have just discovered CCTV of the gang during the second kidnap.
Is he on the phone there?
Yeah, he is. 4. There's 4.
The camera captures the second kidnap victim being transferred between the Tiguan and the Golf.
Right, so we've got one driver, Ballad up, reverses. So this is when he first appeared. They're trying to get him in the boot at the minute.
He's smashing his head on top of the car.
And then bundle him into the back. During that, the baseball cap appears. There's the hat. Did you see it fall?
Yeah.
Officers are now confident that a baseball cap found at the scene was worn by one of the kidnappers. Distinctive bullets were also discovered on the ground near the abandoned Tiguan.
So, this is interesting. The gun. You do see it far there.
Right.
But it looks like he's the one that's pistol whipping him.
It's horrendous. He was probably thinking he was going to be murdered.
Including the driver, the footage shows a total of 5 men involved in the kidnap.
Taller man's got into the driver's seat. He's got a balaclava on. Possibly Paris Bostock. That third one, it could be Darren Barkley, stepdad of Paris Bostock. Just thinking about the beard, his face. He could be masterminding this gang. He could be behind it all, but we need to prove it. He's got a record going back a long time. A lot of his convictions that he's actually been arrested and charged for have then turned into no further action. He was linked by forensics to an aggravated burglary, and there was no further action taken. Battery, no further action. Actual bodily harm, no further action. I mean, either we're getting it wrong a lot of the time, or the man's got some influence. With gangs, there's a hierarchy. There's someone at the top pulling the strings. Generally, they're older, smarter. They're usually very distant to the actual crime, but they might actually want to be hands-on. They may be into meting out violence. Generally, if we catch people, it is those lower down. It's a lot harder to get the people at the top, but the ultimate goal is to get them.
The team don't yet have enough evidence to charge Paris Bostock or his stepfather, Darren Barkley, with either kidnap.
Inside that address was a bit of a kidnapper's gold mine.
But forensic tests on tools and other items found at the house where police suspect the first kidnap victim was tortured have just returned some significant results.
There was a paint-removing heat gun, which you could hold next to someone's ears. There was some hot plates and tape with some hair on it. Andy?
The layers of brown tape. There was blood on it. There was hair with roots attached. Victim and Bostock are within the mix.
We've got Bostock's DNA on some tape, and we've got him at the scene where the money was. He needs to be coming in and charging and staying in.
Left here. First left again, which is just here.
The unit receives intelligence that Paris Bostock may be hiding at an address in the Fallowfield area.
Go, step over that again.
Nothing with you! Go inside for your own safety! Paris Bostock! Oh, please! Come to the front door! Harrison, want your hands as soon as you come down the stairs! Look at me! Put your hands on your head! Walk down the stairs! Down the stairs! Coming out. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Walk back out. Take back up. One more step. That's it.
The subject Paris.
Yo, tell her to ring my mum for me.
Julie Connor travels to an inner-city custody unit to interview Paris Bostock and confront him with the new evidence.
This way, Paris. No.
When you first walk in and faced with that criminal that you might have been hunting down for the last few weeks or months, it is really exhilarating, really. These serious criminals are very intimidating. The crimes they've committed have been particularly violent. You'd be daft not to get scared.
Come down and I'll bring you up.
Okay. What are you two stood there for? What are you gonna do? I'll kick off again, you little brother. First person who comes near me will get it on, innit? Huh? Come on, big man. Just carry on smiling, innit? Come here, big man. We'll have it.
It's not good for you, this, is it? So just calm down like you were before. It doesn't look good for you, so...
No, because
just...
it's you getting me aggravated.
No, but every time you come in...
It's you getting me aggravated.
Listen,
every time I come in.
why?
You're a knob.
All right, okay.
A bad knob.
Oh, hello. Hiya, it's Julie Connor. I'm a detective sergeant from MIT. Yes, thanks. I'm wondering if you could supply me with a really strong police officer to stand outside an interview room while we interview quite a volatile prisoner. He is built like that, isn't he? He's got the shoulders and the V. He looks like he's got pretty strong arms if he wanted to wipe us out in there. Occasionally we do come across unpredictable types. Paris Bostock is definitely like that. You know, he's had the influence of Darren Barkley in his life. He's seen violence and he's been around violence. Cheers, thank you. See you, bye. The plan is I'm only covering offence number 1 tonight. And I'm going to drop on his toes at the very end of the interview that I'm going to arrest him for a further kidnap and leave him with that thought overnight. The only problem is that we'll provoke him. That is the risk.
Before beginning the interview with Bostock, Julie meets with his legal representative.
So this pre-interview briefing document is as a consequence of the arrest of your client on suspicion of kidnap.
I just think for safety reasons, we can sit Paris where you're sitting now.
Yeah. So that he's trapped in by the table then.
If you sit over there.
I've got no concerns with him whatsoever. It's always fine with me.
Yeah. But he has attacked police officers in middle of interview before now.
No, that's wrong.
Is that wrong?
That's wrong. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's an ongoing investigation as well.
A lot of the criminals I do deal with, they are men and they are strong characters. I don't think they like it one little bit when they're interviewed by a woman.
Right, we're in an interview room at Longsight Police Station. Can you give me your full name and date of birth, please?
Paris Bostock, 31st to the 1st, 93.
You're connected to an address where our kidnapped victim was held, kept a prisoner. And from what we know about what was going on at that address, there were lots of other people there as well. What's funny?
You.
I know.
No comment.
Tell me who those people are to you.
No comment.
Are they all your mates?
No comment.
Any of them family?
No comment.
Were you the gang leader?
No comment.
We know he was injected with heroin. Did you do that to him?
No comment.
Parts of his body were burnt. Did you burn him?
No comment.
Weapons were used on him. Did you use weapons?
No comment.
Paris, listen to this. It's now 22:32 hours, and I'm arresting you on suspicion of a further kidnap. Right? And that further kidnap took place on the 18th of December 2018. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you later rely on in court, and anything you do say may be given in evidence. Okay? That's it. Done with the interview. All right?
So I'm on locked up for 2 kidnaps now?
Yeah.
You being serious?
Bostock is taken from the interview room to spend the night in a cell.
Just go back to the desk down here. No, I've got to put you back in.
Unless you're going to make me go there, I'm not going nowhere. Nah, you know what I like that.
But you've got to get booked back in.
What are you going to do? What do you mean calm down? Fucking hell, mate. Still get me, my fist in one of your people's faces.
Let's get him in his cell.
Take me to my cell. Come on, you take me to my cell.
I'm not fighting. Trust me. It's all right. No, I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting.
At Nexus House, the unit is working with specialist CCTV analysts to identify the other 4 suspected gang members.
When there's multiple people involved, you need to get them all if you want to be confident that you've erased that gang's ability to present a danger to the public.
Effectively, he has been fighting for his life. Live ammunition and a baseball cap has been recovered.
Alan has asked Head of Serious and Organised Crime John Chadwick to expedite forensic results on the cap dropped at the scene of the second kidnap.
So we've got a sweatband on the inside of that baseball cap. If it comes back to an individual, we need to go and get them.
Yeah, we do.
If you have a high-level group using firearms, eye-watering violence, when you've got that level of threat, any opportunity you've got to intervene, you've got to do it at the earliest time that you possibly can.
Leanne, it's John Chadwick, Detective Supercover. You OK? Yes, I'm good. Sorry to bother you. I'm just with Alan Clither on his investigation team about the kidnap. We're awaiting a name, aren't we?
Whereas sometimes we could wait 24, 48 hours for things to go through a system. Sometimes you've just got to call in favours.
Thanks for your help. See you later. Bye.
It's Carlos Buller.
DNA found on the cap gives the unit a new suspect.
Carlos Buller, in 2006, he was convicted of 3 business robberies where a knife was used to threaten victims and convicted to 9 years prison. Inquiries have now linked him to 2 kidnapping offences. The victim was kidnapped by 4 males wearing balaclavas and in possession of a silver handgun with a brown handle. In the December 2018 matter, victim was kidnapped by 5 males. He was assaulted for up to 2 hours, including being pistol whipped and beaten with iron bars. No firearms have yet been recovered.
Are you 2 ready to get out?
Yeah. Audi. TFC up to you.
Are all in place?
All in place.
TFC to all teams. Stand by. Strike, strike, strike.
Yes.
OK, brilliant. Thank you.
Now. Flags on upstairs.
Yes.
I'm going left. Go. I'm pulling! Boys, come down. Show yourself. Keep your hands where I can see them. Right, walk down. Slowly. Step at a time. Yeah, jump down. Walk down. Keep going.
As well as Carlos Buller,
Come on, this way. Right, keep walking towards me. Keep coming.
2 women
Who else is in the house?
and a man are also found at the address.
Right, come down, you. Walk towards us. One coming down. Keep your hands where I can see them. Clear.
Yes, Roger, that's excellent, thank you. Let us know when the rest of the house is clear.
Go on! Go on!
Okay, so clarify some details with him.
Yes, confirm we've also found what we believe is a silver revolver in one of the upstairs bedrooms that I'll need forensically recovered.
Excellent job.
Excellent, that's brilliant, thank you.
Following the discovery of a revolver and bullets, police arrest Carlos Buller, both women, and the second man, Blake Evers. After spending the night in a cell, Paris Bostock is taken for a further interview with Julie. This time, covering the second kidnap.
So you got arrested last night at the end of the interview on suspicion of involvement in the kidnap on the 18th of December. These males turned up all wearing balaclavas. Were you part of that group that took him off the street and dragged him into the Tiguan?
Oh, come on.
And this man was fearing for his life. He got dragged down an alleyway. Thought he was going to die. They tried to shove him into the boot of a waiting Golf. That Golf was already there. Was that you waiting?
No comment.
This man, at gunpoint, was pistol whipped. Was it you with the gun?
No comment.
When people found him later on, they didn't think he had much chance of survival. Did you have any involvement in causing those injuries?
No comment.
He's got a bleed on the brain as well.
How long have we got left in this interview?
Julie begins to reveal the evidence against Paris Bostock, piece by piece.
So that's an image of a male coming out of Mancunian Road. And I can say that's you.
No comment.
Do you agree that's you?
No comment.
We can put you there. We can put you at the house where he was taken to. Slap bang in the middle of when he was being held prisoner.
No comment.
The tape that we've recovered from that room, we've got his hair on it and his tissue, we've got his DNA on it. Your DNA's on it as well.
No comment.
Explain that.
No comment.
It's on the same tape that was used to bind him. You're a very dangerous person, aren't you? And the people that you associate with are very dangerous. You're in here because quite a few mistakes have been made by you and your gang. You've left breadcrumbs everywhere for us to find. And we're still finding them now while you're in custody.
Following discussions with the Crown Prosecution Service, charges are agreed for Paris Bostock related to the first kidnap, and he will remain under investigation for the second.
So, Paris Bostock, I'm charged with the following offences. On the 22nd of November 2018 at Manchester in the county of Greater Manchester, made an unwarranted demand of money with menaces,
Contrary to Section 2(1) of the Theft Act 1968. Do you have any reply?
Yes. Due to the seriousness of the charges and the danger police believe Bostock poses, he will be remanded in prison until trial.
Yeah, can I make a phone call then if you're just staying in there?
Yeah, we can arrange that, yeah.
My solicitor's got all my numbers.
What I'll do... Right.
No, what I'll do, nothing. I'm not going back to my cell until I spoke to my solicitor right now, because I'm going jail yet. I'm not spoke to no one in 2 days, so I think that should be fair enough, innit?
I'll tell you what's fair.
If not, I'm jumping over and I'm coming for use. And I'm getting into that volatile state now.
Right.
So I'm going to end up getting volatile again now.
Just calm down then. I'll get you that.
Calm down. I'm going fucking jail. You're telling me to calm down. You've took laptops. You've took iPhones. I know. Carry on. I'm jump over that desk, mate. Carry on. Carry on, and I'll jump right over that desk for her. She's pissing me off. Just tell. Sweet, just tell Dealer I'm thinking that I'm gone. Tell him that I'm gone. Come call tomorrow. I'll ring you up for jail phone. Yo, safe.
Right, Bryce, let's get him back in his cell.
Yeah, I'll go in a minute. Yeah. So I've just get twisted up, mate, and you take him out to myself. You're gonna have to twist him up for this.
Carlos Buller and the 3 people found with him at the house where the revolver was discovered are checked into custody.
What's the circumstances of Carlos' arrest?
He's arrested at 6:23, Sergeant, suspicion of kidnap. She's been arrested on suspicion of possession of a firearm.
Blake? B-L-A... Evers?
Yeah, Evers.
Whilst the gun is fast-tracked for forensic analysis, detectives begin interviewing each of the suspects.
Hi, Blake Evers. I would like to say I was at the property with friends. The property, to my knowledge, is a party house, and that's why I was there.
DS Connor.
GPS data downloaded from the VW Golf involved in the second kidnapping has just come through.
Oh my God, that's bloody brilliant.
It precisely reveals the route travelled by the vehicle on the day of the attack.
That's great, thank you. See you, bye. Wow. Really good stuff on there, telematics. Evers, he lived in Fallowfield, and we can see that the Golf that we know was involved in the kidnap went to that location before the kidnap took place. The Evers is probably yet another of the gang members.
With the VW Golf situated outside his address on the day it was used in the first kidnap, the unit now has strong reason to suspect that Blake Evers was involved.
The outstanding person who's the most interest for me is Blake Evers.
The team meet to discuss the evidence against all of the suspects.
He's in the address where the gun is, and then the telemetry linked to him as well. So we've got a case that we need to work on with him. Carlos Buller, we've got a baseball cap that you can't really see who it's come from, dropped at the scene where there's 5 offenders. Well, can we actually physically put him at the scene of the Golf? Well, no, it's a movable object. It's a baseball cap, isn't it?
On the phone, Harris Bostock, he said to his mum quietly, "Tell Dee I'm going to be inside for a while." So that'll be Darren Barkley.
The unit still suspect Darren Barkley is the gang's boss, responsible for orchestrating the kidnaps. But they don't currently have enough evidence to arrest him.
Darren Barkley looks like he may be on good CCTV coverage from Main Road.
I believe he is a mastermind, and believe he was in the thick of it. For me, I think there's two outstanding big bits of work that we have to progress with this, which is the phone stuff, the forensic stuff, and then can make a decision about him.
DNA analysis of the revolver, suspected of being used in both kidnaps, has been concluded. The results are sent through to the team.
Hello. Hiya. Right. On the revolver, we've got several areas. Cylinder release is a mix. We've got victim and we've got Evers in there as well.
Brilliant. We've got the car, we've got the gun.
And then on the left-hand grip of the revolver, we've got Berkeley.
Darren Barkley. Excellent.
The forensic results give police the evidence to issue a warrant for the arrest of Darren Barkley.
This subject, his intent will be to evade arrest. He knows that we've been looking for him.
I think we're ready to roll.
The DNA results also give police new information to put to Blake Evers.
There's a firearm being used in this kidnapping. Been pistol whipped, beaten really, really badly.
Known to move between multiple addresses, Barkley is believed to be staying at a flat in Moss Side.
A gun. It's been analysed forensically. Have you had access to this firearm?
No comment.
Have you ever handled that gun?
No comment.
Have you ever seen that gun before?
No comment.
Because your DNA is on that firearm.
Police! Police for the war room!
No. No, there's no one in here.
Right.
Darren Barkley is not at the property.
Okay, so we're just going to bail you for the offences you've been interviewed for tonight.
Carlos Buller is bailed pending further investigation.
Want to come back round? Have you got any questions or anything? No?
And the two women from the house where the gun was found are released.
Okay, Blake, you're going to be charged with following offences.
But with his DNA on the gun, GPS data linking him to the kidnapper's car, and phone evidence that shows he was at the location of both attacks, the CPS agree multiple charges for Blake Evers.
Between the 20th of the 11th, 2018 and 23rd of the 11th, 2018, you assaulted and unlawfully and injuriously imprisoned and detained him against his will, contrary to common law.
Let's make a reply to that one.
Did you say you wanted a phone call?
Yeah. Did you want a phone?
Am I allowed to say I've been charged?
Yeah, you can tell what you've been charged with, but don't go into any detail.
Alright, yeah. I've been charged with about 6 different offences, maybe more. Bye.
Those lower down, they're the visible ones. They get the heavier sentences. They're easier to catch, they make more mistakes. For us to catch those at the top, it's rare.
5 months after the first kidnap, and after several weeks on the run, the suspected boss of the kidnap gang, Darren Barkley, finally hands himself in to police.
Darren, do you understand the reason why you've been arrested?
Well, obviously, I've handed myself in, haven't I?
If you just state your name, your date of birth.
It's Darren Berkeley, 12/38/76.
You've been arrested by myself today on suspicion of these 2 kidnaps. Are you prepared to tell us what you were doing on those days? Do I take it that you're going to remain silent? Okay. On the day of that first kidnap, one of your phones was in contact with Blake Evers.
Are you telling him what to do?
Does he work for you? What about Paris? There's a lot of traffic going on with your phones whilst this lad's been kidnapped. Have you orchestrated that? Is this your idea? Are you the head of an organisation? For something that's planned, there's a few mistakes been made here. Phone work places you in contact and in the same locations with Blake Evers whilst the second kidnap was occurring. Phone work shows that you, Evers, stopped using your phones for the duration of the kidnap, and you all switched back on in the same area. Paris Bostock is forensically linked to bindings used to restrain the victim. The recovered firearm has your DNA on it. It is suspected that you are all part of an organised crime group involved in violent kidnaps. No, we believe that you're instrumental in arranging all of it.
Live rounds everywhere. 3 got out, bally's on, and they've just gone up to the van, started putting rounds into it.
An act of cold-blooded murder.
When you see a gunman burst out of the house, shooting, broad daylight, children playing. These people are very dangerous individuals, and they have to be caught. We need the truth. Did you recognise any of them?
Discover more about the law on interviewing suspects and the sentencing of offenders, and test your skills at facial recognition. Go to bbc.co.uk/detectives and follow the links to the Open University.
Shocking stuff. The detectives fighting organised crime return at the same time next Tuesday.